Native News Today.
All right, everyone, welcome to Native News Today. Jason Salzman right here with my man Gerald Wofford. And Gerald, we got a great show lined up today, and it's good to be here with you today, brother.
That's right. We do have a lot of good stories here, and as always, we appreciate you joining us here for this afternoon session of Native News Today. We've got a lot of great things happening out in Native country, you could say. The first stop that we make is over in Tahlequah, right?
Tahlequah, Oklahoma. That's exactly right, Gerald. A huge day for the Cherokee Nation and as well as a lot of the Indian tribes here in the state of Oklahoma, most notably the Muscogee Creek Nation. Now, some information you may not know, the Hastings Hospital there serves a lot of Creek people, and Chief Ellis will mention that here in the coming moments, but it's a big thing for the Cherokee Nation to assume control of that hospital as well as for the other tribes that are affected by that too. So that's just one of many things we have, and we have also a lot of great things from the Cherokee Phoenix, the people over there doing video now. So giving us some video from things going on at Cherokee Nation, and a lot of that is happening, as well as Cherokee Nation Industries and Stillwell getting a new facility, and some things going on with the tobacco prevention program here at home base.
That is right. Well, you were just alluding to some of the stories are contributed from the Cherokee Phoenix department staff there. Our thanks to Craig Henry and the department staff there. An exclusive thing that we're doing this week that we want to add Native American stories from all different tribes. And we know that a lot of tribes out there do produce some of their news segments, whether for their webpage or just for their own archives, and so we appreciate those being sent in.
Yeah, and another thing is Gerald traveled over into his home country. The Katuah Band of Cherokees had their festival and celebration out there last weekend, as well as we'll be throwing some new ideas at you with some ideas we have for some other multimedia coming up, as well as Jared Moore took a trip to Washington, D.C. for some museum footage.
And we'll meet the Wind Warrior.
The Wind Warrior, that's right. So let's get started right away with the big thing going on with Indian health in Tahlequah. We're here at W.W. Hastings Hospital in Tahlequah, Oklahoma on a historic day for the Cherokee Nation as they take over operational supervision of this hospital from the Indian Health Services. Not only a great day for the Cherokee Nation, but for all tribes in this area as well that receive top-notch health care at this facility.
In 2001, we developed a long-range plan, and there were many steps in that long-range plan. One of those, the overall theme of the long-range plan, was to develop a comprehensive, coordinated healthcare system for northeastern Oklahoma. And so the assumption of the two hospitals that are operated by Indian Health Service, of course, is a part of that comprehensiveness. So in January, when we announced our intent to start the planning process, one of the initial things that we decided, and is a current principle at Cherokee Nation, we're a very flat organization, and we do everything in teams, and we involve as many people as we can involve, because that's how you make things successful, and not being in silos and doing things, individualized. So when we developed our teams, we got permission from Indian Health Service to have their staff participate on those teams. And going through, looking at the services, and they work tremendously hard. Long hours for everyone, all Hastings staff and Cherokee Nation staff, and not just in health at Cherokee Nation, all the disciplines. Our Human Resources Department, our Finance Department, our Procurement Department have all participated on those teams. I think one of the things that, and I mentioned this a while ago, an interesting comment that I heard probably a month ago was, or more than that, but toward the end of the planning process, was even if Cherokee Nation does not assume operations, we have developed networks, and we have built relationships between the staff that are going to enhance patient care. Just because now we know who's there, now we know who to call, now we know what exactly the protocols are there. So it would be fruitful, the exercise, even if we didn't assume operations because of that teamwork. So I just can't say enough about all of the staff thousands of staff that have been involved in the process, and of course without them we wouldn't be here today.
One way you could look at it is our first day on the job. We've acquired and assumed management of Hastings Hospital. They have 600 employees, some great doctors and nurses and staff. But they acknowledge, and they've told us, we've grown the hospital as far as we can because of federal limitations. And the flexibility that self-governance brings to the tribe is we can help the staff here grow Hastings, not only to be a better hospital, but we acquired the 45 acres next to it some years ago to develop truly a healthcare center where we can bring other providers, other partnerships in with the city of Calico Hospital and create a quality of life and better health care for everybody in the community.
Wonderful day. Last week I found out we had over 10,000 people that are eligible to this hospital, so that's great. We've made a lot of progress. I'd say we got that much more to go, but the main problem is financing. And with our new casino opening up, we're going to be able to put more millions into healthcare, so that's going to help everybody.
All right, a special news segment that we are adding this week to Native News Today is to have news contributions from various tribes around the state. Well, not all over just the state, but all over the nation as well. We want to invite you out there to contribute your news stories, all the events that are happening out in Indian country. And Craig Henry from the Cherokee Phoenix Department and that great staff over there contributed 2 news stories this week. And Jason, as much as we like to travel Indian country and cover those Native American events that are happening all over, sometimes we can't always be all places at all times.
That's right, Gerald. We think of ourselves as Supermen, but we're really not. No, I'm just kidding. There's nothing against having Native American happenings at the same time on the same date. So you're right. People like Craig are the reason we are able to get it all covered, and they're doing a wonderful job. We're so proud of the multimedia work that they're doing over the Cherokee Phoenix, and it's just such a pleasure for us to bring their work onto Native News Today so that the Indian people in this area can get that great news. So here it is from Craig and the people at Cherokee Phoenix.
Cherokee Nation Industries officially opened its new facility in the Stillwell on August 21st. Workers in the 28,000 square foot building are making cable and wire harnesses for the aerospace industry and the U.S. military. Cherokee Nation Industries CEO Brian Collins said CNI's previous space restrictions was preventing the company from growing, and is confident the added space will enable the company to capture more business and create more jobs for Cherokee citizens.
Basically, this space that we've renovated is to position us to grow our business unit here in Stillwell. We plan on adding approximately another 100 employees over the next year. A lot of those are already in place, but basically to stay ahead of the needs of our customers, we felt like that we had to get more additional space and to develop a world-class technology of how to produce our products. So this space also enables us to renovate the existing facility. The existing facility needs to be expanded, and so we had to have the ability to move some of that work here while we're going through current renovations there as well.
CNI expects to hire 100 new workers by the end of the year to work at the new facility. 80% of the company's nearly 700 employees are Cherokee.
I like it, it's interesting. There's a lot of fun people that work here, good environment to work in, I encourage a lot of people, to get into it. It's something good to be around. It's good for the economy. It's good for the state, and especially good for us Cherokee Indians. It's real good, man.
The Grand Entry is one of the more beautiful sights because that is the time we're able to bring all of our dancers in at one time, and all of their categories. They represent the different regions, their regalia that they're wearing. Thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars go into these Indian clothes. The songs that are rendered are appropriate for this Grand Entry. So it is one of the ways that we feature all of our dancers. And it's a more beautiful part of the powwow. The rest of the powwow, we have intertribal dancing and competition dancing and specialty kinds of dancing. But at the Grand Entry is when we get all of our dancers in, and it's a beautiful sight.
Well, if you've been a faithful watcher of Native News Today the past month, you've noticed during our commercial breaks, we've run a special spot announcing an event that was happening at OSU, the Colville Hall here in OSU Muscogee. and it was put on by the Muscogee Creek Nation Tobacco Prevention Program and featured the Jasper Kings as well as the Wind Warrior. Now, Jason, this is a Native American superhero who combats the abuse of commercial tobacco use.
Yeah, and he does a good job of it. He's out there all the time making sure our Indian people know about the dangers of commercial tobacco, making sure that they know what risks are involved whenever they decide to take part in that, and as well as educating themselves on our traditional uses and things like that.
That's right, and our thanks to Cynthia Tampia and Mike Cooper, who plays the AKA Wind Warrior and helps educate the kids all about tobacco, commercial tobacco abuse, and the harms that it can bring. So this special segment that they did at OSU Colville Hall.
My name is Cynthia Tampia, and I'm the Muscogee Creek Nation Tobacco Prevention Program Coordinator. This event tonight is about having fun in a commercial tobacco-free environment with good, healthy music and the kids coming out and just enjoying themselves and really promoting good health, commercial tobacco-free. We had a lot of things. We had some health fair information just directed toward young people. We had Bikers Against Child Abuse. We had the National Army come out, recruiters, and talk about what they do. And then we had some health fair people come out, and it's just been all focused on young people. Well, what happened, and it kind of took everyone by surprise, they weren't expecting this, and like you said, it's symbolic. When people start smoking, they don't think, because they don't see it happen immediately, the effects on their body. And when Mr. Butts came out of the shadows and was taunting the kids in the audience and was putting on boxing gloves, getting ready for the fight, that's actually what happens to people when they start smoking. You know, it catches them by surprise, the fight against tobacco, because when they try to quit, it is such a battle. And then here comes this superhero that comes in, and that's the knowledge that we have, because knowledge is power. And so the superhero, which represents knowledge, comes in, and he educates them. And so as they gain more knowledge about what's happening in their body and how important it is for them to quit abusing commercial tobacco, it does become a struggle. And the superhero knocks out Mr. Butts, and he finally wins the ultimate battle.
We just want people not to abuse cigarettes and to not smoke. Our objectives and goals are to prevent and stop our Native kids from commercial tobacco use. Well, I got involved with this was through boxing, through my boxing gym. I have a gym in Tulsa, and I train kids and adults and everybody there through my gym. Plus, I'm a professional boxer. I've won several tough men around here in Tulsa and Muscogee and just all over Oklahoma. I'm cruiserweight, and I'm 7-1-1 with 6 KOs as a pro. If I can keep one kid from thinking about smoking, and if they enjoy the show and just enjoy seeing me or just seeing a superhero out there, that makes me feel 100% better inside, you know.
Well, this time of the year, Jason, there is a lot of celebrations, a lot of festivals, Native American tribes around the country, and here in Oklahoma, no less than that. The Katuas had their annual festival holiday this past weekend.
I got to ask, Gerald, when you were driving down to Katua country, did you have the Motley Crue on the radio singing the Home Sweet Home, or no?
Well, maybe not them, but maybe it was Leonard Skinner.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So,
Sweet Home
not
Katua band?
specifically Alabama, because that's Muscogee
Oh, yeah,
Creek.
Sweet Home.
But the
Okay,
South,
yeah.
you get the idea.
I got
Yeah.
the picture. I got the big picture.
Well, I did get a chance to visit with a lot of kinfolk down there and everything. It's always good to, say CO and see them all down there.
Mm-hmm.
Got to speak specifically, though, with Principal Chief George Wycliffe and the
All
Katuas, and he gave his annual State of the Nation address there to the tribe, and at the same time, just celebrating Katua history and culture, getting a chance to meet with all the people, young and old, and keep that Katua history alive.
This Katua is our original ways. We are the original Cherokee people. This is what we have. You will see today are the things that they did even back in southeastern United States. We do have people here that will be making baskets, and we do have gig makers, and we do everything traditional. So it's just a day to celebrate. Also our federal recognition date, which was in 1950, and we're just celebrating the good fortunes that we've had as a tribe. So we still maintain a quarter blood quantum, and we have 13,000 members now, and you can look at our people here, and especially when we start serving lunch, and you will see, I hate to say it, brown-skinned people everywhere you look, and you will hear the Cherokee language being spoken today.
That's right. Chief, in a little bit you're going to give your State of the Nation address to the people. What's some of the stuff you're going to be talking about?
Well, it'll be progress, actually, because we have progressed. We have some new buildings that's been built. Some of those you can look around and see, and we're going to be starting 2 more buildings. One will be a museum, will be civil defense, and then I'm going to tell them about some other plans that we have. We are proud. We're proud people, and we assimilate with all people. We get along with everybody. We like everybody, and this is just the way the full-blood Cherokee was back before we came here.
Okay, Gerald, this segment of the show will prove that no state boundary can hold us, no location just around here will be good enough for us to cover Native American news. Jared Moore ventured into Washington, D.C., the nation's capital, for this next segment, and it was at the National Museum of the American Indian, part of the Smithsonian Institute up there, where he talked with John Beaver. Now, in layman's terms, John has a real fancy title and is going through a PhD program, but in layman's terms, here's what John does for the NMAI. John basically is in charge of getting all of the Native American artifacts that are held up there in the possession of the tribes that they belong to. And a very, very important job he has, because a lot of the tribes, and I can speak for the Muscogee Creek Nation specifically because I've been here, are diligently trying to get the artifacts back. So John is doing that work there for the NMAI, and Jared was up there, was able to go up there and visit with John and talk a little bit about his position and the museum in general.
My name is John Beaver. I'm a Cultural Protocols Program Specialist here at the National Museum of the American Indian. Our primary focus is repatriation programming and the management of sensitive collections here at the museum. I came into the field, this particular field, through anthropology. I had a strong interest in history to begin with, and then I had a really strong interest in how it was that I really wanted to work with Native communities or Native peoples, and do those particular fields. And anthropology just sort of appeared. I know it has a kind of a back and forth history with Native peoples, but I thought that a lot of positive things could come out of it. And as I was doing a lot of work in anthropology and researching, and then in archaeology and then museum work, I really became, very early on in the process, really interested in repatriation, because that was, to me, not only is it really working one-on-one with Native peoples, but also really, we're touching on a number of topics that are of interest, and rightly so, to Native people in the return of their collections that probably shouldn't be in museums in the first place. And it's I spent a lot of time. I did my undergraduate work at the University of Oklahoma in their anthropology program, and then I did finishing up my PhD actually at the University of Illinois in Chicago. And through that experience, I worked for a few years at the Field Museum in their anthropology collections program, and that's really where I started to get my feet sort of wet in the repatriation field, and that's how I ended up working here at the National Museum of the American Indian through an internship in this particular office and program. And it's to me, it's been really a fundamental way to sort of, because I focus on application. I'm application-based research, and it's a way to sort of bring together academic research and working with Native communities. I'm really focused on Native voice in collections and research, and I think that that's something that's been, until recent years, it's been overlooked in the field, and I think it's a proper component to add context, either if we're talking about context in the past or the present, because some of those may or may not have changed, but it certainly deals with, certainly presents compelling issues and stories that give further insight into the collections, the collections that actually come from the communities that are represented by these museum collections. They're under the laws and legislations. There are only a set number of categories under which we can legally repatriate. The first and foremost is human remains, and then associated funerary objects, which means that we have the funerary objects here on site that are associated with the set of remains that are here as well. Then there's following that is unassociated funerary objects, which means that the remains aren't here, but we're pretty sure that they came from a burial context. And then there are sacred items, which were used in ceremony in the past, and it might be that the community or tribe wants to incorporate those into a present day ceremony. So we certainly look at that and are in support of those types of claims. And then is items of cultural patrimony is the other category, meaning it's an object, and it could be a sacred item or an item that was used in a type of ceremony. But generally, we're talking about a type of category that, even though the item might have been kept by one person, that one person didn't own it, and it was the actual property of the tribe. It symbolizes something for the tribe, and it might have a good examples be like Northwest Coast items. They have a lot of crest imagery, and it might be that the item itself or the depiction of that particular crest didn't belong to a particular individual, but to the community as a whole, and it couldn't be, say, purchased by or sold by one person. And that's another category. Those are the categories that claims have to meet. So we're not just for museums. We're just sort of returning anything and everything out of our collection. But that being said, we certainly work one-on-one with communities and tribes through the consultation process to work through a way in which it fits sort of what they're looking at to determine, because they might have a different interpretation of what is communally owned or cultural patrimony or a sacred object. So we certainly want to be we certainly don't want to feel like they're being that we're opposed to working with them. We certainly want to work with them through the process. We can't promise a return until the very end, but we're certainly very open with working with them throughout the consultation process. We're very interactive in our repatriation program here.
What's the first step that a tribe has to do in order to start the repatriation process?
They have to send in a letter of usually they're inquiring about a particular object or objects, materials that are in the collection. First and foremost, we have to, by law, we have to work with federally recognized entities or tribes or communities. That's what the law stipulates and says. We certainly understand there are other circumstances, but under the law, that's who we have to work with. So we need the formal recognition from the tribe. That's not to say that an individual can't make a claim, but they have to have the support of the formal support of the tribe. So the first step is usually a letter from the tribe on official letterhead that says, this is the material that we're interested in having repatriated. Here's the official. Here's if you're working with the historic preservation officer or their NAGPR coordinator or someone in their cultural program. That sort of establishes the relationship, because in many ways we're a federal entity, the Smithsonian. So it's very important to us that we want to recognize and honor those government-to-government relationships and sovereignty as well. So that's why we have that particular measure in place. then once they have the inventory, or they send in the list of items that they would like to have considered for return or submitting a claim for, then but usually we can bring them out here. We have a program which we can bring 2 community members out for the initial consultation process, and they can view the collections and actually physically see them, because it's a little different than seeing them on the printed out inventories that we would send out to the communities prior to the visit, and then they can make their distinctions or determinations at that point, and then they might it might take a bit of time, and they would send another formal letter saying these are the items that we would like to have considered for repatriation, and they usually request them under, they've requested under the formal categories under which we can repatriate. And then at that point, we'll respond and say that the letter, or we'll put the letter, and we'll notify the claimants that it's in line for research. And then once reached, then the next phase is the research phase, and that can take. It's hard to say how long research can take, and then we generate a report, it's called a repatriation report, in which our office submits a recommendation ultimately to our board of trustees here at the NMAI. And then after we submit that recommendation, then either our board of trustees might agree with the findings of the recommendation and support a repatriation, or they might not, or they might have some other questions and send it back for further research. But if it's approved, then we'll notify at that stage we'll notify the community, and then we'll move to the next phase of having the items returned to the communities.
That will wrap us up for this week. And Gerald, I got to tell you, I can't keep it a secret any longer. We got some things we got to tell the folks at home about a new idea we have, and possibly get some feedback from our viewers.
That's right. We are considering producing a Native American sports show that we want to premiere at the beginning of the year. But we'd like to have your input, your contribution to make this a very unique show. We know there's a lot of Native American athletes out there and certainly deserve to be showcased here. And so we invite you to contribute your ideas and help us create a good, unique Native American sports show.
Yeah, we're not going to put a show on out there if there's nobody to watch it. So if you have any interest in this show, give us a call up here at the Creek Nation Communications Department and say, hey, I'd love to see that. 732-7720. You can do that up here. And if
918.
Yeah, 918. Sorry for all you people around here. But that will do for this week. We are all done, and we'll see you next time. Same place. Jason Salzman, Gerald Wofford. See you guys next week.